Hello, everybody. Welcome into Friday's edition of Talking Fitchburg. It's Friday, September 18th, 2020. Jeremy Crosby here on a very special Talking Fitchburg. Today, we're going to be taking a tour of the new elementary school here in the city of Fitchburg. It's with the Oregon School District, and it's called Forest Edge Elementary School. We got a two-parter today as took a tour last week during all that rain, but very excited to show you the brand new school. So we'll get you updated on just a couple of headlines, and then we'll start on our tour. We start with two construction updates. Seminole Highway at the intersection of McKee Road. There's a partial closure happening tomorrow. It starts at 6 a.m., goes through Sunday. If they can't finish the work on Saturday, you'll be able to get through if you're on McKee Road, but it gets a little bit more complicated if you're coming off of South Seminole Highway. So you can kind of see the turns and not so good turns. So plan ahead as you do head out to this construction project as it goes on over the weekend. Also coming back to work next week, Irish Lane will be closing up for quite a while, starting on September 21st through October 2nd. Irish Lane from South Saline Road to County Highway MM will be closed to through traffic September 21st. Through October 2nd. The closure dates may change if there is rain. There'll be notifications on this. They'll be doing some repaving, culvert work, and more. So some of the days it's actually going to be a full closure. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. All right, that's it for headlines. Coming up next, we head out to the new elementary school right here in the city of Fitchburg. That's next, right here on Talking Fitchburg.
Behind every 2020 census taker's mask is a friendly neighbor. They're teachers, retirees, vets. People committed to doing right by getting the count right. If you haven't responded yet, they'll be stopping by to ask some simple questions that will inform how billions in federal funds are spent on local services every year for the next decade. So when they come knocking, say hi from a safe distance and do your part to support your community. Time is running out. Shape your future. Start here at 2020census.gov.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. We're now into our special segments today. Two segments as we take a tour of the new elementary school here in the city of Fitchburg. It's called Forest Edge Elementary School. And wait till you see how awesome this new school is. Take a look.
All right, so as we come in here, we're in our cafeteria. And right now the tables aren't set up for obvious reasons. We also have a stage in here, which will feature performances and drama productions. The stage is unique because it also has a mirror image stage behind it in our outdoor classroom that you'll see out here. And so some of the features we tried to capture in the building, you'll see them throughout the tour today, are elements of nature. You'll see pockets of carpeting that's supposed to look like grass. We have chairs that are to look like stones or boulders that will go in that seating area. The servery is matched to design what we have at Rome Corners because we, like Rome Corners, will have 5th and 6th graders here, which is sort of unique because most of our elementaries are K-4. So our 5th and 6th graders will get 3 lunch options. Our K-4 will get 2, more similar to the experience that they would have at elementary. So it works that they'll go through there and they'll zip down that hallway to go out to recess.
So one of the things that we have in the building is a special glass, which we put an electromagnetic or a charge to, and the charge can then dim the glass. So anything that has a south-facing or west-facing or sometimes even east-facing view, we can actually, the building automation system also actually tints the glass when the sun gets to a certain point. And we do that so that we don't grab excess heat into the building, and it also helps with glare for the building. So we don't necessarily need shades on those areas. And so that's one of the really unique energy component parts of this building.
Some of the unique features that even before COVID was a thing, we are happy we have this because we have 3 outdoor spaces that our kids can use. We do have small groups of kids coming back next week. Our outdoor classroom can be used by all grade levels. And we're going to start adding some design features out here that have music themes, art themes, and so on, but we really want to capture a kid design. We do have the stage there for outdoor performances as well. And you'll see our next corridor will be more geared towards kindergarten. One of the unique things about this building, teachers all had a hand in designing it. We did a group of teachers from across our district, and everyone had kind of a little input or something that was special to them that they thought would be important. One of the things I think is interesting is each area has a pod area for their cubbies or lockers for the big kids, and teachers really thought it was important to have all of this below eye level so they can look out and they can see what's going on as kids are coming and going in the day. And so you'll see different things that are now reminiscent of our design team coming back and remembering those discussions as to what people thought was important. So here we are in a regular kindergarten classroom, set up to be socially distanced for our COVID for 6 kids. I'm excited to have even 6 kids in this room next Monday. So you'll see the pretty good size, and each teacher wanted to make sure they had storage somewhere close by, so that was really important. Kindergarten's lucky to have it right in their classroom because kindergartners use a lot more stuff than 6th graders. Kindergarten also has bathrooms in each of the classrooms, but you'll see different furniture that was decided upon. These are some of my favorites that they can move and be configured different ways, but they're soft and yet they're also vinyl, so you're not getting, you know, kids making messes on there. The little green stools over there pop apart, so you can have them at different levels. You can build them taller or smaller. You can flip them over so they don't rock. Some kids need that extra movement, and so they will rock if they're moved a certain way. Here we have our kindergarten-only playground. It's got a really soft flooring that's kind of almost a gummy system, I guess, to help prevent any injuries or falls. And just kindergarten only needs their own special place. And typically kindergarten teachers don't adhere to an exact recess schedule. They're more fluid or responsive to what kids are needing in that moment. So nice, easy access to get out and move some kids around when they need it. Here we have our 3rd courtyard, and it doesn't look like too much right now, but in spring we'll be making raised beds and starting our school garden. We just obviously missed the planting season right now. And so one thing that was also important to people who know things about gardens, not me, was to have our storage in that stoneware area, access to water, and keep our things kind of locked up in a way. But we'll be building those beds this spring and planting with the kids. So our district has a strong commitment to music education, and our kids here will have general music K-6, but they'll also have the opportunity for choir, grades 3rd and up, for band, grades 5 and up, and for orchestra, grades 4 and up. So I'll have you have a peek at all of those rooms. This teacher in particular loves drumming and does a lot of her units around drumming, so you'll see those. So it was important late in the design to make sure we were a little more soundproof in this room so that she can make some noise and have some fun with kids without distracting other people. So this room is shared with vocal music and with orchestra because they're offered on opposite days. Love the acoustic panels, are beautiful, and the natural lighting with the light all around the room. Absolutely wonderful. We'll walk through. They have storage room, practice rooms, and go into the band room, which is pretty much the mirror image of this, but a little bit bigger. So we're in the band room, and as I just said to Andy here, I love that this group gets really the front row seats to the show of housing and development that'll go up over here. And I've brought that up to kids that have toured, that it's going to be pretty monumental to see a whole neighborhood develop over the course of time here. Pretty exciting room that we're in here. We have our STEAM room, so it's science, technology, engineering, art and music, or art and math for our programming that we do here. It's a class that 5th and 6th graders take. They create things with 3D printers, with Legos, they program, they work through all sorts of technology to create things that support their learning. So this teacher will work hand in hand with classroom teachers to help design projects for units that they're doing, activities that are in the classroom, and totally a space of wonder. So we have the room, and I think it feels really awesome, like professional, with the butcher block tables and the pull-down power cords. Also a big storage room for projects to dry and set until they come back for the next session. The younger kids can also use this room, but it's more often that teacher pushes into the classroom to do those lessons. So it's kind of a fluid space for learning and lots of creativity. So as we come through here, this is our 1st grade area, and you can tell as we progress that direction that we will have chairs get a little bigger, spaces look a little different. Each team area has a collaborative space, so you'll see how that kind of advances and changes throughout each grade level based on what we thought would be developmentally appropriate. When we get to the 2nd floor, you'll see more of a coffee shop feel, I guess I would say, and people have remarked that it almost seems like you're at Madison College or somewhere where like great learning happens. And so you see right here, collaborative space out here, a big area for a team to join, watch something on the big screen TV. There are new designs coming in, they're not here yet, that each area has a theme. Our building theme is energy grounded in nature, and each will have information, manipulative pieces and so on to learn from that deal with water energy, thermal energy, wind energy, and so on. They're just not in yet, but they are coming for these walls in each team area. So here we are in a traditional first grade classroom. Love that you can look out the window and you can see some of the forest. We have been so far visited by several colorful frogs. I don't know my frog species. We have a family of 3 sandhill cranes that go by every morning. In the last week, we've seen 3 deer go by. So it's almost like we have a little zoo out back, which is really fun because people are snapping pictures and trying to count them as part of our community.
You will notice one of the things that one of our design principles that we had, and Carrie, I, and Leslie were all on the design team, is lots of natural light, right? The classrooms are, basically corridors are single loaded. So you get natural light from both sides, which is very unusual for schools. So a little bit more costly, but that was a very important principle for our district to make sure that we had natural light in areas. And then we hope to save some energy too, because a lot of teachers won't end up turning the lights on because the natural light will be enough. So here you kind of see an idea of just a little space where breakout areas that can happen for maybe somebody to work individually with some students or some students to collaborate together. Just a little unique place that we've been able to create. Gymnasium. It has 2 full-size basketball courts with the 3-point lines and everything. It's not really designed as a competition court, so the bleachers would cover one of the courts. But if people wanted to have games, multiple games, that type of things, there's plenty of room between the 2 courts, and the divider there would keep the balls from going onto each other's courts. So real happy with it. There's also the ability to have the entire school in those bleachers, and there's a projector and a screen that comes out of the ceiling that we could have a visual type of situation or a video or that type of thing. So, and then we have our playground. And we used a little bit different product for the surface. It's called jelly bean mulch. It's actually made of excess building materials that were never used, but just excess, and they run it through a chipper. And so it's kind of like a rubbery product. It hopefully has a little bit better stability to it for students that are wheelchair bound, that type of thing. They should be able to hopefully still get around. We're still testing that to see how that works. But the nice thing of it is not a product that will break down, so we won't have to keep replenishing it. And the other thing that we found with some of those products, wood chips and those types of things, is kids would track those into our buildings, and then you can have some indoor air quality issues and that type of thing. So we're hoping to find a product, and this was our first attempt at trying to find something different. And then just south of that is the basketball courts, which you can't really see down there. There's some swings that are in there as well. And then that concrete area that's right next to the building is where the power comes into the building, so the transformers, as well as where the battery will go. The battery will actually be held outside in its own self-contained cabinet with its own fire extinguishing system and all that kind of stuff. So there was some concern about the windows. So the architect thought, well, we'll put a net down there just to protect the windows. If all of a sudden they started throwing hard balls around or something like that, basketball's not going to break a window. But if somebody were to play baseball or something in here, that potentially could do something. Those windows, by the way, are the sage glass windows, so they are the ones that you can darken. So this is a community room. We want this to be available for the community that want to use it. It is very secure, so you'll notice we can get in from there, but if you try to get into the commons, you can't. You'd have to go out into the foyer and then get buzzed into the building. So what's unique about this room is this is where the pipes come into. So there's all the pipes that are coming from the playground area, from underneath those spaces. Nothing overly exciting. They don't move or anything. We are going to color code them, but that's the extent of it. There's some pressure gauges in there if you wanted to see that, but that's the extent of it. The area is very self-contained, though. We have its own bathroom, has its own little kitchen, as well as table storage in there. There were some Chromebook carts in there a while ago. I'm not sure what's in there now. But the idea is that you can kind of run a meeting in here and not really have to go into the rest of the school.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. More to come. We'll take you upstairs next in this beautiful Forest Edge Elementary School. We'll be right back. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg, continuing our tour of Forest Edge Elementary School, part of the Oregon School District, and a new elementary school here in the city of Fitchburg. We take you now to the upstairs part of this wonderful new school.
So these areas here were designed for kind of a green roof component. What we found before we installed them was that right next to the windows, because of the overhang, the plants weren't getting any water. So before we killed a bunch of plants, we kind of did some tests and found out kind of where the natural place was, and that's why there's a little bit of a spacer there. So, but the ability to show the kids kind of a green component right on top of the roofs that they'll be able to watch and bloom, and there's lots of flowers and everything that obviously will develop over time.
And that's a good example of, for the last, 2 or 3 summers, we've taken tours of other sites that were built by our builder, Findorf, or designed by the Bray architect team to see things they had done in other schools. And this was something that we really loved. I think it was in Lake Mills, I don't recall, that we really wanted to bring here. So it was like taking all these ideas and these teammates to look at what are other schools doing that we could replicate here. And there's evidence of that all around the building. So as we work through our older grades, you'll see that change of furniture that I noted. Again, that more of that coffee shop feel where kids can work collaboratively, have different spaces and different formats. That was really important for our learning, getting kids together to problem solve, think through things, and work as a team. But then also have the ability that the teacher could see them from the classroom and kind of be fluid in his or her instruction, moving from place to place. So this is shared with all the 4th grade, but again, a place for them to come together and make some great big ideas. One of the things we had to be really aware of is designing 2 different experiences for kids. One that models what our K-4 kids have at our other elementary buildings, and one that models what our intermediate kids have. And one of those kind of points of transition for big kids is getting a locker. So we wanted to make sure we replicated that here. And so you'll see lockers up here where you saw cubbies downstairs with that same idea of a teacher can look up and over. Love this area because over there you get another great view of not only the solar panels, but the community that's developing over there out that window.
Net zero school means that we need to create as much power during the year as we use. And the only way that we actually do that is through solar panels. There are actually over 1,700 solar panels on this building, and you can see some of them right behind me here. So not producing a lot of power today, but typically we max out about 500 kW at any moment during kind of the high point of the day. And then that energy basically is the energy that's either using to run the building, or we send it back to MG&E as kind of a credit, so to speak, that will be used then when we kind of need it. So we do have a small battery system that's not installed yet. We'll actually be able to store some of that energy. And we use that energy also so that to kind of hit our peaks, because energy bills are based on how much energy you use at one given point in time. The battery can kind of shave those peaks off, so to speak. One of the things that's unique about this building, and is something that's kind of out there in the climate change world, is trying to not basically bring consumable materials into, or consumable energy sources into the building. So we actually have no natural gas in this building at all. So what that means is we use induction heating for our food service, or we use just electric hot water heaters. Everything's electric. There is no natural gas actually brought to the building. So the battery also provides a way for us to have kind of an emergency energy, or replaces basically the generator. If we were to be down for any period of time when the sun's not shining, the battery could hold up a good part of the building for an extended period of time for us to do that. So that's the main component of this, is we really felt like we needed to be off of fossil fuels, and basically having electricity is our main way to power the building all the time. We combine that with geothermal, and we'll show you a little bit of the geothermal a little bit later in the day here.
All right, here we are in our Discovery Center. Some people might call it a library, but we like to think of it as a place to discover. So we have awesome furniture here, along with our brand new book collection. And that was one of the most amazing portions of this whole process, was the company that came in, they shelved everything, they have it ready to go, and all of this came to life within, I would say, 24 hours. It was amazing. Love to picture a class here, working with a teacher, working on a project, and having that first view of nature, where those deer and those sandhill cranes have been going by. So loving the colors, and in this whole process, I have no idea how colors work, but the ideas that were put forth just really came to life here in our design. It was hard to conceptualize what it would look like, but here we are with this beautiful space. So you'll see two little breakout rooms, again, with that theme of a discovery center. So you could use those, again, for small groups, other projects, research, but a quiet space to work within the Discovery Center. You'll see right now, because of this COVID world we're living in, these bagged books right now, we're devising a system of curbside delivery and pickup that'll start next week so that kids did an interest inventory, got their words on paper, sent a form in, and were able to select books they wanted to check out of the library. And we'll set those out for next week, and parents can start picking them up. So one of the things that kids do while in this space is they do have lessons on information technology. They have lessons on types of literature, how a library works, another teaching area. But love this, where kids can snuggle up with a book, snuggle up maybe even with a buddy to read in this unique place. And it just, again, some of the neat features that we tried to bring in that made it kid-friendly. And as we went through this whole design process, I remember thinking at one point, kind of having that epiphany moment of, we're designing almost a museum for kids, more than just a school. Things that are interactive, things with unique features, things with a theme that would make kids want to be here, want to engage, and feel playful almost in their environment. And so you'll see that again with just different aspects throughout here. I love the little furniture in there where kids can lounge and connect. And I think of it as so much different from the elementary school I went to with all the wooden desks and rows and so on. But in my 25 years in schools, the whole practice of education has changed, and how we deliver instruction looks very different, and we have furniture that models that change.
So those 5 pumps right there are the pumps that take the water out of the 91 wells that we have underneath the area that we just looked at. So basically that whole area on the southwest side of the school has 91 406-foot deep wells. That's where the water goes into the earth, comes up, and then we either take the heat out of that water or put the heat back into the water, depending on what season we're in. So in the summer, we're putting heat into the water from the building. The building has around 90 heat pumps that are in the ceilings mostly, and they basically allow the heat to be transferred out of the building and the humidity into the ground in the summer. In the winter, we take the heat out of the water, out of the ground, and bring it into the building. So that's the way that works. It's not free heat. You still need energy with the compressors and that type of thing to cool the building off or heat the building up, but it kind of it helps significantly. So it's very efficient in the summer, right? Because the ground is maybe 50, 52, 55 degrees, and so we're trying to cool the building off. Very, very efficient, but actually still efficient in the winter when the ground still might be 50, 55 degrees, and we're trying to heat it up to 70. The compressors and the heat pumps can do that. So those are the 2 structures over there are just the electrical hot water heaters, and this is kind of the boiler room to the entire building. No combustion at all. Everything's electric. So the 2 things that are going in this room, and we'll actually have you move in a second again, this is actually where the dumpster goes. The aesthetics of the building were very important to us, so we actually brought the dumpster, and the dumpster is actually a compactor. And the compactor has a slide in it that allows us to put recyclables in one side and garbage in the other. Again, trying to be the sustainability building that we want. We want to actually measure how much recyclables we have compared to garbage. And by having this dumpster that has a slide in it, when they take it to the dump, they take the entire structure to the dump, they can just actually weigh that, and we can monitor how much recyclables and how much garbage that we're bringing out of the building. We have the same system actually at Netherwood and Prairie View between the 2 schools. The structure is self-contained. We do have our own ventilation system in here in case it does get smelly or anything, but for the most part, it should stay within that structure for potentially several weeks, if not a month. On the other side of this wall here is where our electrical is. Basically, these are our 5 inverters. Each inverter can do about 100 watts. So it takes DC power and turns it into AC power. And each one will do 100 kilowatts, not watts, kilowatts. So that's all the wires that you saw basically running on the top of the roofs all come down here, and these are the devices that turn that into electrical power. And then the other devices down here are kind of the batteries, the smarts, and this also is kind of a smart, basically energy system for the building. So we can monitor all kinds of different things. Actually, each circuit we'll be able to monitor and see how much power it's drawing, and be able to measure that based on plug loads or lighting loads and those types of things, so we can work with the kids so that it can be a building that they can learn from and try to do their part to be sustainable. It's almost all automatic. I mean, the design, everything, all the work was really set up in the front part of it so that it does it automatically. There's rules that the system will follow, so how to manage that. And sophisticated things like if the power that the building needs starts to go high, what it can do is it automatically will say, okay, we're going to lower the lights very slowly. People won't probably even notice it, but to reduce the lighting load. And you can, it's called energy shedding. And you can set priorities for different circuits. So maybe storage areas, we make sure that those are off. Maybe we do reduce the classroom lighting a little bit. Maybe we reduce the hallway lighting quite a bit more, as a way to just manage that lighting load. So the idea is for it to be very, very intelligent in itself, but sure, there's a lot of training that goes along with it as well. So we didn't talk about the lighting system, actually. The lighting is a very intelligent lighting system. One of the, maybe not in this room because there's no light that's going to get into this space because it's not really an occupied space. But if you were out in the classrooms, you would have seen a little structure on each individual light. And each individual light has its actually own daylighting sensor and its own motion center. And it's wireless. So that's why sometimes when we were pushing the buttons, it takes a little second or two before it reacts, because there's a signal that goes from that controller to a wireless receiver and then to the lights to have them do what they need to do. So, but that's nice because the lighting control system can then tell us how much lighting it's using, as well as some of the energy savings things that we do. It can show you how much energy savings we would have for each individual strategy that it has, whether that be light shedding, daylighting, those types of things. So a very sophisticated system, like you said, but our hope is that it really doesn't create more work for us. It's just kind of built in. It's going to happen seamlessly. Right. That's the same thing with the windows. There's actually sensors on top of the roof in a couple different locations, and it basically knows where the glare is by these sensors. They're three-sided, I think, because the north doesn't really matter, but west, east, and south, so that it can see where the sun is, and it knows what to do with the lights, and somebody doesn't have to be going, oh, I got to dim the light, you know, the window's down this here. It just automatically knows that. And when you talk to the people that bring this system, which is based out of Minnesota, they say it just kind of happens behind the scenes, and you don't even recognize that it's happening.
There you have it, the tour of the school. It is awesome, and as that school, damn it. 3, 2, 1. All right, there you have it. We've got the tour. Students will be in there and very excited to be checking back in on that school as it develops. We're going to wrap up the show next. You are watching Talking Fitchburg.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Wrapping up the show for today, I want to thank the folks over at the Oregon School District for giving us the tour of the new Forest Edge Elementary School. It is beautiful, and so excited for students to get in there and start using that school. We're going to wrap up the show with this. Remember to stay connected with Fact TV all weekend long, and please check ahead when you head out, as we do have that construction project happening on McKee and Seminole. Have a great weekend, everybody.